Okay guys, so just picking up where we left off in the last ZR-1 video. As you can see, I received the new tensioner pulley in the mail and I have it installed on the tensioner and it spins. So that's good news. Here's a look at the part number. As you can see, I got it from Jerry's Gaskets and I'm gonna go ahead and get this reinstalled in the car. Okay, I got the tensioner reinstalled, so now it's time to install a new serpentine belt. The new belt is a Continental. There's the part number. It's an 80.5-inch belt, and I have verified that it's the same size as the belt that came out. All right, I got the new belt installed. There's a look down the barrel of an LT5 throttle body for those who've never seen it. So this job is pretty much done. I just need to button everything up and then start her up and see how she runs. Like a kitten. Let me show you guys what's going on in here. I took the seat out so I could repair one of the bolsters because it's not working, and also because it needs to be cleaned underneath. Look at how dirty this is. I doubt this has ever been cleaned before. Oxygen remover. It probably came out of the same bag as all of that crap. So there's that. We have an Oakley sunglasses bag. We have some money. And we also have this present tag for a Christmas present to Dr. Cohen, Kelly, and staff from Chet and Alicia. So quick story for you guys. The guy I bought this car from said that the original owner was a doctor and he used to drive from Las Vegas, Nevada to Mesquite, Nevada on a daily basis. So that would explain why the car has a lot of miles. But I think based on this tag, one could assume that Dr. Cohen was the original owner of this car. So this has been in here since he owned the car, which is kind of cool, but also kind of not, because that's further evidence that nothing was ever cleaned underneath the seat. Anyway, Dr. Cohen, if you're watching, please reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you about this car. Or if any of you guys watching know a Dr. Cohen who lives or used to live in Southern Nevada, used to own a ZR-1 and used to commute between Vegas and Mesquite, let me know. I'm gonna clean all this out, vacuum the carpets, and then shampoo them. And after that, we will dive into the seat. Yeah, that's pretty gross. All done after a couple of passes, and here's a quick before and after. I know it's not perfect, but I'm pretty confident that this is as good as it's gonna get. So now on to the seat. As I mentioned before, this right side bolster hasn't been working. So I got the seat out, unzipped the cover here, and this is what I saw. As you can see, the air bladder was completely hanging out of the little pocket that it sits in, and that's not normal. So I'm gonna try and fix it. I've got everything apart on both sides actually. Even though the left side has been working, it is missing a couple of pieces. So I can definitely tell that someone has been in here trying to fix the seat, but they were not successful. To completely deflate the air bladders and make them a little easier to work with, I just unplugged these air hoses from the air manifold. On each side, there are these gray brackets that are riveted to the seat frame. And you can see these little pockets in there, and that's where these little brackets or panels sit. These attach to the brackets that are riveted to the seat frame, and they are controlled by the air bladders, and they're hinged. So as the air bladders inflate and deflate, they move back and forth. This one is from the left side, which is the side that has been working. As you can see, it's in pretty good shape. It has this little extension piece right here, which is there to limit the bolster's range of motion, and it should have a corresponding bracket that's bolted on the bottom here. And as I was inspecting this side, I noticed that that bracket was missing. I also noticed that a spring was missing, so there should be a spring that attaches from here to the bracket that's riveted to the seat frame. For the missing bracket, I just bought a small strip of aluminum and created my own bracket. I also bought some hardware for it. This is what it'll look like once it's bolted on. And as you can see, it lines up pretty well, and it should do the trick. For the missing spring, I just bought an assortment of springs from AutoZone and cut and bent one of them into the shape that I needed. So that's the left side. Now let me show you the right side, which is the side that was not working. Everything that should have been there on this side was there. As you can see, this little bracket piece that bolts on right here is bent. And when I disassembled this side, it was barely bolted in. You can see that this piece is bent right here and also right there where the spring attaches. So I'm gonna have to bend all that back into shape. And I guess the bolts that hold this little bracket piece onto this bigger piece are notorious for coming loose. So the new hardware I got has locking nuts, so that shouldn't be an issue going forward. So there you go, that's what's going on with the seat. Hopefully all of that made sense. And now it's time to reassemble everything. Okay guys, all done. Check it out. Basically, the only thing I could really film for you was me putting in these panels right here. And as you can see, I showed you the left side. Everything is just kind of buried in here, and it's hard enough to get my hands and fingers in there, let alone my hands, fingers, and a camera. So I apologize about that, but I can show you the finished product. So obviously you saw me put the air bladder in place and put this little bracket or panel in place. As you could probably see, this bracket or panel here was slotted, and you've got to line up the hooks from this panel with the slots on this one, and that entails coming in a little higher with this one, putting the hooks in the slots and then pushing it down. It's kind of hard to explain, but if you guys are ever doing this to your car, you'll see what I mean, and it'll make sense. There's the new bracket that I made here on the left side, bolted up with the new hardware. You can see the air bladder is in place where it should be. Again, the bladder will inflate and push this panel inward, and cause the bolster to move inward. And here's a look at the new spring on the left side. Here's the spring on the right side. You can see the bladder is in place over here. I bent everything back into shape. It looks pretty good. And there is the little bracket piece bolted on with new hardware on this side. I think my work with the seat is done. So now it's time to throw it back in the car and make sure it works. The seat is back in the car. Everything has been put back together and bolted down. I've cleaned and conditioned the leather. So now we are ready to test out the bolsters to see if they are working. And just a quick note, I'm sure that all of the terminology that I used for the parts that go inside the seat is incorrect. I didn't quite reach the level of saying thingy and doohickey, but it was probably pretty close. So I apologize about that, but I think you guys get the idea. The passenger seat is still crooked, which sucks. Either I didn't bang on the floor pan enough or the seat frame is crooked. So I'm gonna have to keep working on that. Here we go. Boom.